What's good, boys and girls? This your boy King Martin Fresh. But today video that I'm gonna bring another cop video, but this time is, I think they was stealing. I think so. Hey, but to me though, we're gonna be watching this cop video, so you're gonna see my video, my reaction, and you're gonna see the video that I'm reacting to. So yeah, just let you know that, boys and girls, I want you to watch the video to now to the end of the video, and make sure you got your snacks, drinks, cover. Make sure you get relaxed, cause I do not want y'all miss anything. I'm telling you though, I don't want you to miss anything. Alright, and check them short videos out. I do short videos. Don't be afraid to watch them. Show them short videos some love. And I turn around and post my short video on Instagram. And I turn around and post my short video on Instagram on TikTok. Show you some love on TikTok as well too. So yeah, so let's get to this video. But if you're new to the channel, make sure that like, subscribe, to better throw a comment below, and share with friends and family. And don't forget that subscribe because the channel lot to hit me on Instagram and TikTok. Show you some love. Alright. So let's get to it with this video. What's going on? DMV employee fired after running 300K. I don't know.
Bribery.
Bribery
Scheme.
Bribery scheme. Uh, I thought it was like stealing, but she running. It probably was stealing. I think so. Let's see what's going on.
Kiana Gentry, step away from the computer.
Excuse me, are you here for a CDL appointment?
Ma'am, Homeland Security, step away from the terminal.
The officers approaching Shawana Harris knew exactly what she did. She's about to find out they know. And in a few moments, her 23-year career at the California DMV will end in handcuffs.
Oh, wow.
What y'all want with me? I'm at
You're
work.
under arrest for conspiracy to commit bribery.
Bribery?
She wouldn't get a chance to finish her sentence. In the 11 years since this scheme began, at least 185 commercial truck drivers had obtained California CDLs without ever passing a written test, without ever passing a behind-the-wheel exam, without ever demonstrating they could safely stop an 80,000-pound vehicle. 23 traffic accidents had already been linked to the fraud, and every single thread led back to the woman now sitting at the Victorville DMV counter, arms crossed, refusing to move. Quick question before we continue. Do you know what it takes to get a commercial truck license? Most people don't. Drop your guess in the comments. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. Shawana Denise Harris was born in 1970 in San Bernardino, California. Her father drove long-haul trucks for 28 years, a company driver for a regional freight line that ran loads between the Inland Empire and Phoenix. Her mother worked in the cafeteria at a local elementary school. Shawana was the youngest of three. Both of her older brothers followed their father into trucking. She grew up in the high desert corridor, Victorville, Apple Valley, Hesperia, where the summers crack 110 degrees and the winters bring frost to the Joshua trees. She remembers watching her father leave every Sunday night and return every Friday morning. She remembers the way the house felt different when he was gone. She remembers sitting on the porch waiting for the sound of his rig pulling into the driveway on Friday afternoons, the way he'd honk the air horn twice to let them know he was home safe. Her father was proud of his record. 28 years on the road without a serious accident. He kept his logbooks immaculate. He knew every way station between San Bernardino and Flagstaff by name, and he never let anyone drive his truck who hadn't earned it. By the time Shawana was 15, she knew she wanted something more stable, something with benefits, something that didn't take her away from home. She graduated from Victor Valley High School in 1988. She enrolled in the Administrative Certificate program at Victor Valley College and completed it in 1990. For the next 9 years, she worked a series of clerical jobs: a dental office, a property management company, a temp agency that sent her to different offices around the valley. None of them paid more than $9 an hour. None of them offered health insurance. In March of 1999, she applied to the California Department of Motor Vehicles. She was hired as a Motor Vehicle Representative 1 at the Victorville field office in July of that year. Starting salary, $2,480 a month.
Whoa!
$29,760 a year.
No.
It wasn't much, but it came with state benefits, a pension, and paid holidays. It came with stability. For the first few years, she processed standard driver's license applications, renewals, address changes, the routine work of a government clerk. Her supervisors noted her accuracy. Detail-oriented, one evaluation read, consistently exceeds processing quotas. In 2002, she was promoted to Motor Vehicle Representative 2. In 2006, to Motor Vehicle Technician. And then, in June of 2011, she received the authorization that would change everything. She was approved to process commercial driver's license applications. The promotion to Senior Motor Vehicle Technician came with a raise.
That cake look good.
It also came with unrestricted access to the DMV's electronic test score database. She could now enter, modify, or delete written and behind-the-wheel test results for any commercial driver's license applicant in California. No supervisor review required for routine score entries. Audits occurred quarterly, but they focused on customer wait times, not record integrity. Shawana Harris had been a state employee for 12 years. She had never received a disciplinary action. Her personnel file was spotless, and now she had the keys to the kingdom. To understand what Shawana Harris did, you have to understand what a Class A commercial driver's license actually requires. A Class A CDL authorizes you to operate the largest vehicles on American highways: tractor-trailers, 18-wheelers, tanker trucks, flatbeds hauling construction equipment. Vehicles with a gross vehicle weight rating exceeding 26,001 pounds. Vehicles that, fully loaded, can weigh 80,000 pounds or more. Vehicles that take 300 feet to stop at highway speed. Vehicles that, when operated by an untrained driver, become 40-ton projectiles. The licensing process exists because these vehicles are dangerous. Applicants must pass a 50-question written knowledge test, 80% to pass. They must pass a pre-trip inspection test demonstrating they can identify mechanical failures before hitting the road. They must pass a basic vehicle control skills test, and they must pass an on-road driving examination with a licensed examiner watching their every move. If they want additional endorsements, air brakes, hazardous materials, tanker vehicles, doubles and triples, there are additional tests for each. The system is designed this way because the consequences of failure are catastrophic. An undertrained commercial driver doesn't know how to downshift on a mountain grade, doesn't understand how air brakes behave differently from hydraulic brakes, doesn't recognize the warning signs of jackknife conditions. And when an 80,000-pound vehicle loses control at highway speed, the people in the passenger cars around it don't get a second chance. California has over 40 million licensed drivers. The DMV processes more than 8 million transactions every year across 180 field offices. The system depends on thousands of employees doing their jobs honestly. Motor vehicle technicians are trusted to enter test results accurately. Electronic records are considered official state documents. There is no secondary verification for routine score entries. A technician can process a CDL application in under 4 minutes. The system was designed for efficiency. It was not designed for fraud. It started like most corruption does, with a conversation. Sometime in June of 2011, a trucking school owner approached Shawana Harris through a mutual acquaintance. He had a student who kept failing the written test. Kid studied hard. Needed the CDL for a job that was waiting for him. Would Harris consider helping? $500 cash. No one would ever know. Harris entered a passing score for a test the student never took. The transaction took 3 minutes. No audit flag, no supervisor review, no questions. The student got his CDL. The trucking school owner got a satisfied customer. And Shawana Harris got $500 in cash. Word spreads in certain circles. By 2013, Harris was working with at least 3 trucking school operators across the Central Valley and High Desert region. The price had increased to $1,500 per applicant. Sometimes it went as high as $5,000 for a complete CDL package with endorsements. The trucking schools advertised guaranteed licensing to prospective students. Pay us $3,000 to $8,000, and you'll walk out with a commercial driver's license. No test anxiety, no second chances needed. The method was simple. The trucking school would submit an application package through an intermediary. The package included the applicant's photo, supporting documents, and a cash envelope. Harris would enter false written test scores into the DMV electronic system. She would enter false behind-the-wheel test scores. The CDL permit or license would be issued to an applicant who had never demonstrated any knowledge or skill. The transaction was recorded as routine processing. No anomaly flags, no alerts. Just another satisfied customer at the California DMV. The scale grew year by year. At least 185 fraudulent CDLs were eventually traced to Harris's login credentials. $277,500 in documented bribes, though investigators believed the actual number was higher.
Oh.
Cash deposits structured to avoid the $10,000 reporting threshold. Separate bank accounts that her husband didn't know about. An average of 17 fraudulent licenses per year. In the peak years, 2015 through 2019, more than 25 per year. Some months, the extra income exceeded her state salary. The trucking schools had developed their own pipeline. Recruiters would find prospective drivers, often recent immigrants, often men who needed work immediately, often men who had already failed the test once or twice. The pitch was simple: pay more, worry less. Within 2 weeks, you'll have a commercial license in your wallet. You can start driving next month. At work, Harris remained a model employee. Consistent productivity, no complaints. Supervisors praised her efficiency and accuracy rates. Exceptionally accurate with electronic record entries, one evaluation noted. Demonstrates thorough understanding of CDL endorsement requirements. At home, her colleagues noticed the improvements: the new car, the home renovations, the family vacations. They assumed inheritance, or her husband's income. No one asked questions. For 11 years, no one asked questions. The scheme began to unravel in 2015, not because of anything Harris did, but because investigators started noticing patterns. Homeland Security Investigations in Sacramento received a tip about a trucking school in the Central Valley that was advertising guaranteed CDL licensing. Separately, the FBI received a complaint from a competing trucking school owner who was losing business to operators who seemed to promise what no legitimate school could deliver. And the DMV's own Office of Internal Affairs opened an inquiry after statistical analysis flagged unusual processing patterns at several field offices. The Department of Transportation Office of Inspector General joined the investigation due to the interstate highway safety implications. 4 agencies, dozens of agents, and they all started pulling the same threads. The statistical analysis was damning. Certain DMV employees had applicant pass rates that were statistically impossible. The same trucking schools appeared repeatedly in their processing queues. Cross-references with actual test appointment records showed massive discrepancies. Applicants who had received passing scores had no record of ever appearing at a DMV testing location. Some had been out of state on the dates their tests were supposedly administered. The investigation went undercover. Cooperating witnesses were introduced to the trucking school network. Conversations were recorded. Cash was marked and traced, from trucking school to intermediary to DMV employee. Digital forensics confirmed which employees had logged into the system to make the fraudulent entries. Physical surveillance documented meetings between the conspirators. By 2020, investigators had identified 20 defendants across the conspiracy. Multiple trucking schools were implicated. Sacramento, the Central Valley, as far north as Eureka. Multiple DMV employees were found to be accepting bribes at different locations. But one name kept appearing more than any other. The longest tenured participant, the highest volume processor, the employee who had been doing this longer than anyone else, Shawana Denise Harris. The evidence against Harris was overwhelming. The DMV's electronic audit logs preserved every score modification in the system. Harris's employee credentials were attached to at least 185 fraudulent entries. Timestamps showed the entries were made during her shifts at her workstation using her login. Bank records documented cash deposits that coincided precisely with fraudulent processing dates. And then there were the recordings. Cooperating witnesses had recorded their conversations with Harris. The transcripts left no room for doubt. March 14th, 2019. Trucking school operator to Harris. Got 3 more for you this week. Same arrangement. Harris. Okay, but no more than 2 same day. Spreads it out. Operator. Understood. Tuesday and Thursday work. Harris. Cash before I touch the system. Same as always. But the evidence went beyond bribery. Investigators had tracked what happened to the drivers who bought their licenses. 23 traffic accidents had been linked to CDLs issued through the fraud scheme. Undertrained drivers operating 18-wheelers on I-5, on Highway 99, on mountain grades they didn't understand. No fatalities had been confirmed, but serious injuries, yes. Crashes that could have been prevented if the drivers behind the wheel had ever been tested. The DMV was forced to cancel 602 commercial licenses connected to the scheme. Drivers were given the opportunity to come back and take the actual tests. Most of them never returned. In April of 2022, federal agents arrived at the Victorville DMV field office. Harris was at her workstation processing applications. She was escorted from the counter in view of co-workers and customers. A search warrant was executed at her Phelan residence the same day. The arrest happened at 8:47 in the morning. Harris was seated at her processing station when the agents approached. Shawana Harris? She looked up from her computer, removed her reading glasses, placed them on the counter. Yes? Ma'am, I'm Special Agent Vidal with Homeland Security Investigations. We need you to step away from your workstation. Harris did not stand. Her body stiffened in the chair. Her hand froze over the keyboard. Then her arms crossed over her chest, and her chin lifted. Homeland Security? I don't understand. I process applications. What does Homeland Security want with me? Ma'am, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit bribery. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes locked on the agents. Behind her, co-workers had stopped what they were doing. Customers in the queue were turning to look. The DMV
They won't be
had
nosy.
gone quiet. Bribery. I'm not stepping anywhere until someone tells me what's going on. I've been here 23 years.
Well,
I'm not
it's-
just going to... Ma'am, we have your banking records. We have your phone records.
Ooh.
We have recordings.
Ooh.
For a moment, she said nothing. Her arms stayed crossed. Her chin stayed high. Then her voice cracked, just slightly, before hardening again. Recordings of what? I want to see a supervisor. I want to know who authorized this. Stand up, hands behind your back. Now. She stood, slowly. The handcuffs clicked shut behind her. The walk through the DMV lobby, past the rope barriers, past the waiting customers, past the co-workers she had known for 2 decades, took less than 30 seconds, but she kept her chin up the entire way. Cases like this remind us why accountability matters. If you want to see more stories about people who abuse public trust, make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell so you don't miss a single one. Shawana Denise Harris was indicted by a federal grand jury in the Eastern District of California. The charges: conspiracy to commit bribery under 18 U.S.C. Section 371, unauthorized computer access under 18 U.S.C. Section 1030, and identity
She
fraud
went-
under 18
she went to Las
U.S.C.
Vegas.
Section 1028. Her defense attorney, a federal public defender named Wendell Kapoor, argued that Harris had been pressured by the trucking school operators, that she was a low-level participant who had been manipulated. The evidence said otherwise. In April of 2022, Harris pleaded guilty to all charges.
Ooh.
The sentencing hearing was held on November 3rd, 2022, before Judge Carolyn Nguyen in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of California. The prosecution requested 7 years based on the scope of the scheme and the public safety implications. The defense requested 3 years, citing Harris's cooperation and lack of prior criminal record. Before the judge delivered her sentence, Lorraine Fan. Her husband had been hit by an 18-wheeler on I-5 in 2018.
Oh.
The driver had never been tested. He had never been trained. He had bought his license from a trucking school that paid someone at the DMV.
Oh.
My husband was hit by an 18-wheeler on I-5, Mrs. Fan told the court. The driver had no idea how to downshift on a grade. He'd never been tested. He'd never been trained. He bought his license from a trucking school that paid someone at the DMV. My husband survived, but he'll never walk the same. Shawana Harris didn't just take bribes. She put weapons on the highway. Judge Nguyen addressed Harris directly. Ms. Harris, you held a position of public trust for over 2 decades. You were responsible for ensuring that commercial truck drivers on California highways met minimum safety standards. Instead, you turned that responsibility into a profit center. For 11 years, you accepted bribes to put unqualified drivers behind the wheel of 80,000-pound vehicles. 23 accidents have been linked to this scheme. It is only by fortune that no one died. The public relies on the DMV to keep dangerous drivers off the road. You betrayed that trust in the most fundamental way possible. The sentence? 60 months in federal prison, 5 years, 2 years of supervised release, a $100 special assessment. No restitution was ordered. Victims were pursuing civil remedies. Harris was designated to FCY Dublin, a minimum security federal women's facility in Dublin, California. She reported in January of 2023. With good time credit, her projected release date is 2027.
Oh.
She received the longest sentence of all 20 defendants prosecuted in the conspiracy. The trucking school owners received sentences ranging from probation to more than 4 years. 2 other DMV employees received sentences of more than 3 years. In total, investigators documented hundreds of fraudulently issued commercial driver's licenses across California.
Wow.
The DMV implemented additional audit protocols for CDL score entries. Supervisory review is now required for certain transactions. Statistical monitoring has been enhanced. Real-time cross-referencing now flags discrepancies between score entries and appointment records. The system that had been designed for efficiency was finally being designed for integrity. But the 602 licenses that were canceled, the drivers who bought their way onto California highways, those are consequences that can't be undone. Some of those drivers are still on the road today, having obtained legitimate licenses elsewhere. Some are driving trucks in other states with no idea that their original California CDL was fraudulent. The full scope of the damage may never be known. 23 accidents, unqualified drivers, families changed forever, and one DMV employee who, for 11 years, decided that $1,500 was worth more than the lives of everyone else on the road. Her father had spent 28 years making sure every truck driver on the highway earned their place behind the wheel. His daughter spent 11 years making sure they didn't have to. That case still makes me think about every semi I see on the freeway. But this next case on the right-hand side, it involves someone who was supposed to protect children. Click
See
it
the
now.
comments. Like, that's crazy. She partly responsibly for the
Vehicular.
What?
Vehicular.
Vehicular death of innocent people. Never heard that word before. What a demon. She should be sued for all dangerous. Oh my goodness.
Related.
Related to Evercash. She should have been arrested for murder, not just how you say that word again?
Bribery.
Robbery. That's crazy. I can't believe she did that. I can't believe she only got 5 years with a miscarry of justice. Think of all the accident and dangerous sulation. How you say the word? How you say it? Dangerous.
Situation.
Everyone was put in. OMG, she had a lot of blood on her hand. Evil and greedy. Greedy ain't a word. And she would have been the first one to bring a lawsuit if she had been hit by one of her truckers.
Fraudster.
She had been a bulletproof job, but it was enough. That is crazy though. Like she got a lot of separate brain, but her husband didn't know about. That's crazy. I don't know what to say about that video. Like, I really don't know. But she was being greedy, and I know her dad be probably upset. Like, what the world you be doing, sweetheart? I ain't raised you like that. But if you knew that, if you made it to the end of the video, boys and girls, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, turn the bell on, comment below, and share with your family. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, go to the channel out, and hit me on Instagram, TikTok. Show your boys some love. Alright, boys and girls, and I will see y'all next time. Deuces.